so much of photography has nothing to do with the actual image making or the mechanics of it or the technique. So much of photography is really about the photographer, their ability to capture moments, to see what really matters, to make people feel comfortable, to make people feel at ease so that you can get the moments in the first place, not just recognize them. And so I want to talk about how you can do that. So I have been doing portrait photography. It's not my main gig anymore because I really narrowed in on event photography years ago. But I had a system for shooting portraits that I still follow to this day when I do portrait work. And that is not to pose people. I have a placement method. I don't have a catchy way of branding this, and I'm not trying to sell anyone, so I don't really have a good way to put it. But what it is I place my subject matter in a beautiful location with a beautiful background where the light's good, and then I let them interact naturally. And how can I do that? I have some tricks, but ultimately it comes down to them feeling comfortable with you. So the first step is to be able to build rapport very quickly. Building rapport means connecting with people, and you have to find ways to naturally connect with people. And this can be worked on. But in all honesty, this is probably the most challenging thing to work on, more so than the technical side of photography, because so much of it comes down to who you are as a person. Now, for me, I really, really enjoy connecting with people. I find all people interesting. I've always found that I had a very diverse collection of friends because I could relate to gamers, I could relate to athletes, I could relate to anyone. I just felt I could connect with everybody of all walks of life. And as a photographer, you need to be able to do that, and you need to be able to do it very quickly. So just asking personal questions is one way you can do that. First, if you're asking questions, don't make it an interview. Listen to what the people are telling you, and your next question shouldn't just be a random question. It should be a follow-up. Show them that you're actually engaged and listening to them. Find things you can connect over. Find common interests. This can all happen within a minute or two. This can start well before your actual session. Now, I've actually had clients that said they were really frustrated with the experience of photographers that kind of went about this in an artificial way. For example, people have bemoaned when they email a wedding photographer, and before the wedding photographer will just even talk to them, they send them a list of how do you define love? And how did you guys first meet? In this whole sheet, and they don't want to do that. That's not a natural way of connecting with people. If you want to connect with people, have a conversation with them. Don't send them an info sheet that they have to fill out. Now, when you start off, there is going to be a warm-up period for you for a variety of things. Warming up with your technique and your familiarity with your camera, that kind of thing can happen. If I'm shooting very often, I find that I don't have a warm-up. I'm ready to go and shoot right away. But if I haven't shot for a week or two, I kind of start warming up. I go a little slower before I start feeling the creative juices going. And that's okay. And what you can do, if you're not going to use that to connect with the people, you can use that to make them just feel comfortable in their surroundings. And how can you do that? Sometimes for portrait sessions, especially for a couple, an engagement session, for example, I will use my placement method where I don't pose people. I find good light, I find a good background, and then I let them interact. Imagine you're shooting an event and you find there's a couple at an event. That's what I do, except I get to pose them to make sure my light is really good. I'll often tell them, oh, hey guys, I'm just dialing in my settings. I don't really need to do that, but I tell them I am doing that. I say, you know what, just take a moment alone. Why don't you guys just connect a bit? And when I do that and I roam and being very stealthy, which you should watch my videos on that if you need tips on it. Being very stealthy, they don't know I'm photographing them during that time at all. Then after that, what I'll do is I'll start to give them a little guidance at most. It depends on the couple. I don't tell people how to hold hands. I don't tell couples how to kiss or how to just embrace each other. You don't need to do that. You do not need to do that. I'm going to say it again. You do not need to do that. Couples in love don't need to be told how to interact. If you make them feel comfortable, they will interact naturally. So what do? I'll maybe say, oh, why don't you guys hold hands? That's it. And then they know how to hold each other's hands. They don't need guidance on that, and I allow them to do that. And maybe I say, oh, why don't you guys give her a kiss, or show her how much you love her, or whatever. And you don't have to make it really cheesy, You don't have to give them like improv challenges like, I want you to tell her how you felt the moment you met her. I don't think you need to do that kind of thing. So once you place them, let them interact and grab those moments. Often I do that, they don't even know I'm shooting. When I'm photographing individuals, how can I connect personally with the subject matter? I've already built my rapport, but I want them to feel like they're interacting with the process, not just being photographed by a prying eye. And when you're just aiming a giant lens at someone, they're not going to feel like they can connect with you. And that is why I shoot with both eyes open. If you watch my event photography videos, you guys know I'm a big proponent of that. I almost always shoot with both eyes open, not always, but when it comes to portrait photography, I do it for a different reason than I do for event photography. And that is, I want people to see a face. I want them to look at me and know I'm a person, not just a giant lens. Another thing, people mirror people. So if you're frowning or you have a very straight, serious face, people aren't going to smile. I never tell someone, hey, smile, because all I have to do is smile. And you might be smiling right now as you watch this video because I'm indicating that I am smiling. I can talk, and if you look at my face, you can look at my eyes, you're gonna feel that smile before I even do it. And that happens in the pause. And so you can also interact with people. Have a conversation, show that you're smiling, show that you're engaged, and when they're talking to you, you grab that in-between moment